Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're completely flipping the script on how you view your own body. Most of us think of digestion as this simple, passive plumbing mechanism. We assume food goes in, gets mechanically broken down, and slowly moves along a pipe. But the fascinating reality is that our gastrointestinal tract operates as a highly autonomous, remarkably intelligent chemical processing plant. It isn't just a tube. It's a wildly intricate factory equipped with its own advanced sensors, high-speed communication networks, and literally its own independent brain. So, here's our roadmap for today. 1. Meet your digestive system. 2. The gut's second brain. 3. Chemical messengers of digestion. And 4. The liver's chemical lab. Let's get right into it. Part 1. Meet your digestive system, the ultimate processing plant. To kick things off, let's map out the massive physical space we're actually dealing with here. It's a continuous, highly regulated factory line. It all starts up top, of course, with the mouth and salivary glands getting things going with chewing and swallowing. The materials then travel down the esophagus and into the stomach. And by the way, the stomach isn't just some passive storage tank. This is where proximal mixing goes down, a highly coordinated mechanical process that literally churns, grinds, and mashes your food into a manageable liquid state. From there, it enters the main processing zone, the small intestine, breaking down into the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum before finally hitting the colon. It's just a massive interconnected network that requires absolute precision to function. And the sheer variety of work happening simultaneously on this factory floor is absolutely mind-blowing. The gut doesn't just casually digest. It does heavy mechanical labor, grinding and mixing like industrial machinery. It acts as a full-blown chemical plant, actively secreting fluids and breaking down complex molecules. It's a resource manager absorbing vital nutrients and safely handling excretion. But here's the kicker. It also runs a massive frontline immune defense operation. Think about it. If you eat a slightly spoiled piece of food, long before you'd ever actually feel sick, this localized immune operation is working tirelessly to neutralize those external pathogens. And it does all of this completely under the radar. Which brings us to part 2, the gut's second brain, also known as the enteric nervous system. So to manage all those incredibly complex mechanical, secretory, and immune tasks across such a long factory line, your gut can't just wait around for instructions from your head. It actually relies on its very own hidden intelligence. Enter the enteric nervous system, or ENS. This system allows the gut to operate almost entirely on autopilot. We're talking about a vast web of nerves embedded directly into the tissue of the GI tract, containing over 100 million neurons. That is literally more than you have in your entire spinal cord. This local network is constantly sensing its environment, reading the chemical and physical state of the gut, and making real-time, local decisions without needing a sign-off from your actual brain. If we look a bit closer at the biology of the gut wall, we find 2 distinct nerve networks, or plexuses, that basically act as our local factory managers. On the outer layer, we have the myenteric plexus, or Auerbach's plexus. You can think of this one as the conveyor belt operator. Sitting between the muscle layers, it strictly controls the physical muscle movements and motility of the gut. Then, closer to the inner lining, we've got the submucosal plexus, or Meissner's plexus. This one is the fluid manager. It handles the highly localized chemical secretions and adjusts blood flow based on exactly what's needed at that moment. It's a perfect division of labor, keeping the whole process moving. But while the gut absolutely has a mind of its own, your central nervous system can still pull the emergency brake. Ever wonder why you lose your appetite or get butterflies in your stomach when you're super stressed? Well, it all comes down to this override system. Your parasympathetic system, using the vagus nerve and sacral nerves S2 through S4, stimulates our rest and digest mode, cranking up motility and secretion so you can comfortably process a meal. Conversely, during a sudden fight or flight response, your sympathetic system, using thoracolumbar nerves T5 through L2, aggressively hits the brakes. It instantly inhibits digestion and triggers sphincter contraction via alpha-1 receptors. It's basically diverting all that essential energy away from your stomach and straight into your muscles so you can deal with the threat. Now, this constant top-down, bottom-up communication forms this incredibly elegant mechanism called the vagovagal reflex. It's a continuous, high-speed loop happening in fractions of a second entirely subconsciously. Sensory signals travel up the vagus afferent nerves from the gut all the way to the nucleus tractus solitary, which is just a major control center up in your brainstem. And then instantly, vagus efferent signals fire right back down to the gut. This seamless loop coordinates vital actions on the fly. For example, the moment you start eating, this loop tells your stomach to physically relax and expand to receive the food, while simultaneously ramping up acid secretion so it's locked and loaded the second that food arrives. Moving right along to part 3, chemical messengers of digestion. Because electrical nerve signals, they're really only half the story. Beyond the wiring, this second brain uses an incredibly complex network of chemical emails to keep every single organ perfectly synced up. And it begs a really fascinating question. Think about it. When you eat a meal, how does this internal factory instantly recognize the exact chemical makeup of what you just swallowed so it can produce the highly specific enzymes needed to handle it? Well, the secret lies in these incredible intestinal endocrine cells that line the gut. They act like advanced sensory outposts. They're equipped with what are called 7TM chemosensors facing the inside of the gut. Now, I know that sounds like a mouthful, but they actually function a lot like the taste buds on your tongue, except instead of tasting sweet or salty, they physically taste the exact macronutrients inside your intestines. They detect the literal presence of specific proteins, lipids, or carbohydrates. And once they identify the payload, they release targeted hormonal instructions into the bloodstream and surrounding nerves to prep the rest of the digestive tract. Let's meet the main characters in this chemical story, because it gets incredibly specific. In the stomach, G cells are your acid managers. They detect incoming peptides and release gastrin, commanding the stomach to produce hydrochloric acid. Down in the small intestine, I cells detect fats and release the hormone CCK. S cells act as the pH monitors. They detect harsh acidity and release secretin to call in the neutralizing agents. Meanwhile, K and L cells detect sugars, releasing GIP and GLP. Those are the hormones that trigger insulin from the pancreas and actually create that wonderful feeling of satiety, basically telling your brain, okay, we're full. And standing above it all is the master inhibitor hormone, somatostatin. It acts like the factory boss, stepping in to shut the whole operation down when digestion is finally done. If we zoom in on just one of these, CCK, or cholecystokinin, you can really see the multitasking power of a single messenger. When fats arrive in the duodenum, the I cells release CCK. This one molecule travels through the bloodstream and miraculously triggers 3 entirely different organs at the exact same time. It tells the gallbladder to contract and release bile to dissolve the fats. It tells the pancreas to release digestive enzymes, and absolutely crucially, it tells the stomach's smooth muscle to slow down its emptying process, so the small intestine doesn't get totally overwhelmed. It is just an exquisitely orchestrated chemical dance. And finally, part 4, the liver's chemical lab. To fully grasp this chemical network, we really have to look at the liver, which is the ultimate specialized processing lab in this whole system. Down at the microscopic level, there is a very strict division of labor here. Hepatocytes are your main factory floor workers, and they operate on 2 fronts. They secrete the vital bile acids and phospholipids needed to digest fat, while also acting as the cleanup crew, excreting waste like bilirubin and excess cholesterol. Right next door, you've got the cholangiocytes. They are the safety team. When stimulated by messengers like secretin, they furiously pump out bicarbonate to neutralize that severe, dangerous stomach acid before it can do any permanent damage to your delicate intestinal tract. And here's something crucial to keep in mind. This internal chemical processing isn't just passive fluid flowing downhill. It's hard, physical, cellular work. Moving heavy elements like bile salts from those hepatocyte worker cells out into the transport channels requires literal, active energy. The cells use specialized ABC transporters that act exactly like physical turnstiles. To push these heavy chemicals uphill against the gradient, these turnstiles require a token. In this case, that token is ATP, your body's raw cellular fuel. They burn this fuel to actively pump the chemicals through, making sure the factory line keeps moving forward no matter the resistance. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this. We so often attribute all of our bodily intelligence to that primary brain sitting safely up in our skulls. But the next time your stomach literally rumbles in anticipation of a meal, or you push your plate away feeling perfectly full and satisfied, take a moment to ask yourself, how much of your daily intelligence, your mood, and your reactions are actually coming from the unseen, remarkable second brain operating right there in your gut? Thanks for joining me today, and keep feeding your curiosity.